Hey, remember us? This is
We're
Caitlin.
back.
I'm Todd. This is the Racin It Out podcast. I know we have been absent for way too long.
About a month.
There's a lot of extenuating circumstances in terms of work and life, and Caitlin's been moving and a lot of stuff going on. So I think I said this maybe before, but I apologize for the long distance in between episodes. We will do our very best to maintain on a much more regular basis. New platform that we're recording onto, so that's part of the hiccups with new technical things and innovations and stuff. But hopefully we'll be back on a much more regular basis. The good news, Caitlin, is we've got a lot we can catch up on in this particular episode.
About a month, maybe a month and a half's worth of work at this point, because I think the last podcast we did was the week after Triton's championship.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So I guess that was around Canadian Thanksgiving, and now we're fast approaching American Thanksgiving. So that we're doing another Thanksgiving episode, I guess. I don't know, but one of the biggest things, of course, now is the schedule has been released. And the new logo, which is behind me, for what was formerly known as the NASCAR Pinty Series, is now known as NASCAR Canada, which I think this is a great rebrand for the series. It follows the NASCAR Cup model in the United States, where there are multiple presenting partners, just as there are with NASCAR Canada. It's a smoother, simpler way to do it. The logo is pretty simple and straightforward. Got some nice red in it now, which is great. I just think it makes sense that this is the brand. It also follows NASCAR and their other international operations.
Well, I'm going to say this. I haven't said I worked for the NASCAR Pinty Series for a long time. On my resume, it has said NASCAR Canada for a while now, because to be fair, I ran the NASCAR Pinty Series social media and communications, but I also managed the overall kind of news and brand of NASCAR in Canada, as you see with the like basketball and MLB and NHL. They have Canadian branches of their sports.
Right.
So I think this kind of fits a little bit, again, like you said, in line with the presenting partner model. Also, it's great to see Pinty's back and a new sponsor as well and so many people get this wrong, and I had been getting it wrong for so long. Everum. And I hope I didn't screw it up there because I'm going off memory. I might have, who knows? Because I remember when at iCar, everyone was saying Evirum.
Right.
Because that's kind of how it looks, but it's Everum.
Everum. Okay.
Just for everybody listening.
Seems pretty straightforward to me. There are those that will say, well, let's first, maybe I'll just say this now, is I'm glad all the bitching is getting out of the way quickly so that we can move on and discuss things that are A, relevant, and B, true, involved with the series, with the silliness that has gone on over the last couple of weeks. It's amazing that when some people see something, or in fact, don't even see something, it just starts with speculation. If someone speculates this is happening, and someone else hears that and decides that it is actual fact as opposed to bullshit, and then decides that they will add their own little spin and twist onto it. And this is why I have kind of the love-hate relationship with so many social media platforms, is because as soon as someone writes something or posts something, others take that as gospel and fact, which it might be, but very often it is not. And we've seen a lot of that over the last little while, since the end of the actual season to this point in time, where the 2024 schedule for NASCAR Canada has been announced. There's been an awful lot of, I'll just politely say, nonsense that has been spewed out by so many who, quite frankly, should know better. And let's hopefully now move forward in a positive direction, because there's a lot to be excited about with this series. Sure, I know there's a couple of racetracks that aren't on the schedule that have been on the schedule previously. Let's move forward and decide how we want to approach the schedule and the tracks that are on the track. This is what's happening. You can not be happy that the Toronto track is on. I'll take this here and say, like, you know what? The Toronto race moved a week later next year. It conflicts with Saskatoon. And Saskatoon needed to move to be a weekend race. They've been wonderful partners for so many years, holding a midweek race, but it's better to be on a Saturday night. So it's a conflict next year. This is what happens. And hopefully it's just 1 year and we can move forward and everybody can be back. But other tracks have come and gone in the series schedule in every other series. So this
Toronto
is not a
themselves
new thing.
have.
Right. This is not a new thing. So there's no need to bitch for a month about it.
No, and I think another good point that I want to mention about Toronto is a lot of people are forgetting that next year we have the Olympics, which seriously impacts IMSA's schedule,
Yes.
NASCAR, every single racing schedule,
Yes.
anyone that is in partnership with NBC. Because for 2-3 weeks, it is all Olympics.
Yes, absolutely. Wall to wall. And by the way, it takes a little time to get ready for that event that comes every couple of years as well. So be cool, accept that what we have is a pretty cool schedule with new races and returning tracks and a lot of reasons for excitement and positive momentum going forward with a cool new, what I believe is a cool new rebrand as well. So I'm taking the approach as these are very positive steps. And again, I don't know that it was officially announced previously, but mentioned in the announcement with the rebrand and the new schedule. Alan LaBrosse is the new general manager of NASCAR Canada, which is fantastic news.
He has been in an integral part of just Canadian motorsports. He's a Hall of Famer, if
Yes, he
I
is. Yes,
remember
he is.
correctly. So to have someone like him who has, first time I met him was when he was general manager of St. Eustache. Or promoter or whatever his actual position is. I can't remember. But I've been hearing a lot throughout the day as people have been coming onto the sites and congratulating Alan, just the different roles he's kind of had throughout his career in Canadian motorsports. And to have someone like him as general manager is going to be just, it's going to take the series to new levels.
I think it's a terrific move. As you mentioned, a member of the Canadian Motorsport Hall of Fame, track owner, operator, promoter, driver, agent. He's been involved at a number of different levels and in a number of different capacities, very successfully, I might add. So this is very good news for the series. And again, the whole nonsense speculation of this, oh well, it's going to be a Quebec series and it's all about Quebec now. Honestly, I think Quebec was underrepresented in the series prior to now. I think it's a good thing to have a little more Quebec representation, because there are so many teams and drivers that come from Quebec. I think it's great that they have a little better representation.
And yeah, I think you just said it. You've actually kind of just encapsulated everything perfectly. Todd has hit all the nails on the head there. But I think,
sorry, I didn't mean to take over. I didn't mean to, but
it's very passionate about this.
I'm a little passionate about some of the stupidity that I've seen.
No, but I mean, I'm somebody who's kind of grown up going to the East Coast, I'm super excited to see Riverside back on the schedule as well.
Absolutely. Again, terrific track. I think it's nice to have them back. 2 races at Riverside as well, which is going to be interesting. So again, there's 3 races in the East. There's races in Quebec. There's races in Ontario. There's races in the West. That sounds like a national series to me. It doesn't sound like a Quebec series.
11 tracks, 6 provinces.
So yeah, so we're excited and looking forward to the future with NASCAR Canada. So I imagine, have been rather busy preparing to drop all this info on everyone at once, which is great that we have this now and we can all start planning and working on our schedules for 2024. You, of course, haven't been doing anything else because all you did was move in the last few weeks. So it's been a real low-key, quiet time for you.
Yeah, no. The idea that things would calm down after Delaware, I think I had about, actually, I'm not even going to say it. It hasn't calmed down because I went from Delaware to full blown apartment hunting, found a place, and I got it for November 1st, and then had
Mhm.
about 3 weeks to pack. And then in the last 2 weeks have been unpacking and, building an office and a
Right,
life in my 700 square foot apartment with my boyfriend,
right.
and also doing all the rebrand stuff.
So it's been very, very quiet, relaxed, and low key. I have news for you. It doesn't slow down.
No.
The off season doesn't slow down. The season of racing doesn't slow down. It's sort of it has little dips, like around Christmas and New Year's and stuff. There'll be a
Mhm.
little bit of a slowdown then, but it has little dips. But that's really all about it. So, but that's part of what gets us excited too. Is we're all passionate. We're all excited about what's to come, and I'm looking forward to it. So it's I think it's good news. I think really moving forward, I'm excited to see where we go next. And that's I guess kind of how I felt about this series for as long as I can remember, is that there's great potential and I can't wait to see where we go next.
We mentioned Hall of Fame when we were
Yes.
talking about Alan,
Yes.
and in the last couple of weeks, we also had the 2023 class of the Canadian
Yes.
Motorsports Hall of Fame announced with our very own Mark Dilley, but
Mhm.
also James Hinchcliffe
Mhm.
and Cup Series director Brad Moran.
I'm glad you mentioned that because you're right. It has been a long time since we've done a podcast. You're
Yes.
right, because
There's
that
a
would have
lot
been
to talk about. I
that
didn't
would have come
remember
up.
it until we talked about Alan.
I know, but isn't that great? Because Brad Moran, I'm so glad that he has been recognized and elected into the Canadian Motorsports Hall of Fame. I'm pretty sure he's not going to be at the ceremony, unfortunately, because the Daytona 500 is the next
Yeah.
day. So I'm thinking he's probably going to be
Is
busy
it
with
back? So
that.
it's back to that week now of that right before,
February 17th is the induction
because it was,
ceremony.
why do I remember it being different last year? Because I went last year,
It
but I
was
remember it also being with the Toronto Auto Show.
It is part of the auto show. The auto show stretches over 2 weekends. It is on the first weekend of the auto show this year. It was on the second weekend
Okay.
last year. It will be on the first weekend of the auto show this year on February 17th.
Well, I'm gonna
So,
miss it this year.
oh, fine. Be like that. I'll be there.
I
And
blame. Sorry.
yes, but no, but it's I think it's terrific. And yes, for Mark Dilley as well. Very, very nice to have him recognized for his participation as a racer and a participant in racing in Canada and the United States. But he's done so much other work in the world of racing and motorsports and business. So it's very nice to have
He
his
was
contributions
also
recognized.
general manager or owner, I can't remember, of Sunset Speedway.
Right. So
So
he's had a lot of roles in a lot of different things. So I think it's wonderful. So
I also saw on the website, and I meant to mention this to you earlier, but I saw a news posting on the Canadian Motorsport Hall of Fame website that you were elected to the board of directors.
that is correct. Yes, I was asked and voted as a member of the board of directors in the middle of this year, a few months ago. So I was honored when I got a phone call asking if I would consider this, and I am and I thought. Yes, I absolutely would, because I think that the Canadian Motorsport Hall of Fame is a very worthwhile venture, and I think that there is a lot of great Canadian contributions that are worthy of recognition. So when they asked me to be on the board of directors, I said yes. And fortunately, I was nominated, and the board agreed and allowed me to come in and join, because that's the process. Is there's no guarantee. I was pretty confident it would go through, but yes, it was.
So wait, so that means somebody else, like somebody other people on the board though? So how did
So how did I become a member? Is that what
yeah,
you're? Well, I was asked if I would consider putting my name forward for a nomination, and
okay.
I had a conversation with Peter Lockhart, who called me and said, "Would I consider it?" He's the chairman, and I said, "Thank you. I'm honored that you would think of me, and yes, I will." So my name is put forward for consideration to join the board. the board votes on it, whether I'm a thumbs up or thumbs down. Fortunately, there were more thumbs up than thumbs down, so I got through.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's nice to be a part of it. So again, I'm a supporter, and I think it's a very worthwhile endeavor. So, yeah, and again, there's lots of great people that are going in this year and being recognized. You can go to the website and learn a little bit more about the Hall of Fame as well. So, we haven't talked about the NASCAR Cup Series championship yet. And I know you have feelings, and you're quite happy about the 2023 Cup Series champion.
Ryan Blaney won the 2023 Cup Series championship.
Yes, he did.
He did. It was literally the day after we moved, and we had gone out to dinner with, so I had watched a little bit of Martinsville the week before, and then I was like, nice, Ryan's in it. But I felt that way when Ross got into it last year, because I thought it would have been an amazing story to see Chastain win after the move at Martinsville.
Riding the wall, yes.
Yeah. But I was like, I've loved Blaney for like the longest time. I love his podcast. I think it's super creative. I haven't listened to the episode they just did where they talk about his championship, so it's on my to listen to list. But it was one of those feelings of like, I feel like Larson's got this in the bag, like, or Byron, who was, actual points leader at that point and had won and like had been very dominant the entire season. Right. I was kind of just like he's my, I want him to win, but he's the dark horse. We go out to lunch with our friends that were helping us unpack and build furniture. And I asked them to put on the Cup Series race because, of course. And I'm like, okay, yeah. And just as we're watching it, he comes into first. I'm like, nice. Okay. It's actually pretty tight. But again, I'm like, still a dark horse. It's racing. It ain't over till it's over. So I'm like, we're unpacking and stuff. And because I don't have a TV or anything set up, I can't watch it. Mm-hmm. And then I see that there's 10 laps to go and Blaney's in first. And I absolutely lost my shit. And I watched the last 10 laps. And my friends are just looking at me like, she's crazy.
Is she going to be okay?
I do have to say, I was very, very happy for my friend Patrick Suchan, who actually got to be there for it, who is also a Blaney fan, because I was very jealous of him, but I was very happy he got to be there for it, because it was just, I think it was so many, and this goes back to the bitching a little bit, of so many people were bitching and complaining because Blaney wasn't really the most dominant car, and they said he didn't really deserve to win. It's a new era of NASCAR, and he knew what he had to do to win.
Right. Absolutely. And this is the part that, yes, I can understand the frustration a little bit, but these are the rules. This is how the championship works. He followed through. He achieved. He won. He's the championship. He's the championship winner in 2023. If the rules were different, then somebody else might have been a winner. But all you can do is follow along the path that has been laid out. If the rules are different next year, then somebody else might win. Somebody else, or more, Ryan Blaney might win again. You don't know, but those are the steps to winning the championship. He achieved them, and like it or not, this is the way it is. So he's absolutely a very worthy champion because he accomplished the feat as laid out.
Yep, and I think it. I'm just so happy. I haven't spent any. I'm just happy. I haven't spent any
merch yet.
No.
Okay.
I just bought an entire house worth of furniture, Todd.
I know, but but that's an emotional purchase. It's not a logical, you know what, I need this to set up this room kind of purchase. That's an impulse emotional purchase, and they're two very different things.
Yeah, I need to go on and take a look. I definitely want to get the die cast. I took a look at the shirts. I wasn't crazy about any of them, which is funny because as I was unpacking, I was looking at all of my other, NASCAR, like driver shirts. And I have one from, Jimmy Johnson's and Chase Elliott's, actually, when he won his. So Jimmy's 7th championship and then Chase's 2020 championship. And they just look nicer than what's on the store right now. I wasn't crazy about them, so I gotta hunt a little bit for some better
Yeah.
championship merch.
Yeah, different styles, again, different eras, different
Yeah.
years, so the designs and everything look a little bit differently. So we should also mention the other motorsport event that has just recently wrapped up in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Viva Las
The
Vegas.
much discussed. I don't know if you saw the opening to the telecast of.
Oh, that looked like, are you talking about the one that looked like the Hunger Games, or?
No. I'm talking about the reciting of the lyrics to "Viva Las Vegas," but
I
in a.
did not.
It's pretty cool. I thought it was very clever the way they did that. But there was, again, a great deal of hype / anticipation / bitching about this event. I think we've come up with the title for this episode, by the way. Is is everyone had thoughts, ideas, and opinions on it before they had even opened the garages, and that's fine. And it didn't look great in the early going because the track wasn't cooperating, and we had a Ferrari sustain a couple of $1 million damage because a piece of the track damaged the car. Certainly not an ideal set of circumstances. But by the end of the weekend, it was an unbelievable event. It was one of the best races of the season. And as soon as I was watching it, I'm thinking to myself that track looks so slippery. And then you're hearing the commentators talking. It's just, it was a very slippery track, but it made for a dramatic race. The last lap pass for the second spot on the podium for the Ferrari, I thought was great. And it was a terrific event. Did it go perfectly? No. Will things be better, more improved, and run smoother next year? Absolutely. Does this event have a long-term future? Sure looks like it because they have a deal for 10 years. So
really, 10 years?
Yeah, it's a 10-year deal. So this is not just, we're going to drop in for a year or two and try this and see how it goes. They spent hundreds of millions of dollars to build a building and stuff. So this is something that's kind of, they expect to grow in the years ahead.
And I think this might go back to maybe how I think social media has kind of played into this. Is there's a side of TikTok that's like Vegas talk, and it's, when it's not F1, it's how to get cheap hotels on the strip and stuff like that. And the odd time I'll end up on it, and I don't know how because I've literally never been to Vegas in my life. But so there's already this like predetermined side to TikTok.
Yes.
There was an aspect of it where months ago, when building finally started, all people were doing were coming on and saying it's destroying Vegas. It's you can't get to the fountains, you can't get to here, you can't get to there. And then as it ramped up and we got closer and closer, and construction for the venue became way more noticeable, it got the bitching got louder and louder and louder and louder. And then all of a sudden, I think I think it kind of hit a pinnacle maybe a week or two before the event. And then I want to say the week of the event, it was a lot of influencers like on my way to like the races in Vegas. But I think once it actually happened, you heard the bitching stop. Because it's very easy to knock something that hasn't happened yet and pick it apart every little piece. And you're going to have people that are ripping the film off of your barriers. And so it's like, it happens at the Honda Indy, it happens at GP3R, it happens every time you have a street course track that the public has access to up until that event. That happens with freaking music of course. Festivals. It's very easy to knock stuff, but I think I found it fascinating how loud that bitching was and how widespread it was on Instagram and TikTok until the event actually happened, until tickets were like the stands were filled. And I don't know, I didn't hear anything about them being a sold out crowd, but I saw pictures of some of the stands and they were very filled.
Yes, absolutely. And it's a first time event. You're going to have hiccups. The track, you're right. The track coming apart after what 8 minutes or something of the first practice is not ideal, and it took hours to make repairs. This is not the first time this sort of thing has happened during a street race, especially where it's a very complicated process to build out a track and do that. In from 2005 to 2007, they ran a Champ Car, one of the predecessors of the IndyCar
Mhm.
race in San Jose, California, and it was a terrific event. And I worked there for those 3 years. First year, they had a problem with the track. The track went green at 8 o'clock in the morning, or was supposed to go green at 8 o'clock in the morning, and they had a problem with the track because they had trolley tracks that run through the course. Took them until the afternoon to get it sorted out. Once they did, it was great. It was cool. It was fun. It was a dramatic event. Paul Tracy and Alex Tagliani had a fight in pit lane.
Ooh.
It was outrageous. It was fantastic. But having issues with a street course, especially, and building something this complicated is not unusual to have a hiccup. Was it handled perfectly? You do your best. You do the best that you can under the circumstances. Did they learn a lot this year that they'll take to next year and years going forward? 100%. The build is also not going to take nearly as long next year because
Mhm.
most of the infrastructure is now in place.
Mm.
So you can let that negative bitching, since that seems to be the word of the day, influence you and take over. Or I think it's unfortunate that it's become harder and harder sometimes just to turn off the garbage and actually find out what's going on and make your own judgments and opinions.
Right, and that's where it's like I said I was fascinated with TikTok because it was
Mhm.
really like, it didn't feel like there was any other news that was there, but it and I've seen this before with, like, celebrity perception, like, a perception of a celebrity or an event or a concert or something like that where
Right.
the algorithm kinda pushes a narrative almost,
Yes.
but it was very social media is weird now, especially once you mix influencers with the news and events. It's
You still have to have your own filter and determine
Mhm.
what's true, what's nonsense, and decide how you feel about stuff. You shouldn't just let a 15-second video determine your
Mhm.
opinion on a very large and complex issue, especially. So,
I
um,
did I did find it interesting though that in the days leading up to that, hotel prices and ticket prices dropped so drastically.
yes.
That was
Um,
and
Well, but that's finding the market level too. I mean, the
Mhm.
prices that were quoted at the
They were
beginning of the year were
astronomical.
outrageous,
It's
absolutely
like I think it was
outrageous.
something like it was started out somewhere around like $2,000 for just a Sunday ticket, and then now you could find like triple day passes for like under a grand or something like that. And same with hotels. It was like a grand a night, and then it went down to its normal weekend rate of like 250 a night.
Mhm.
And it was like, yeah, because nobody who in their right mind has money to spend $1,000 a night for a hotel room.
There are some that do, and if
Yeah.
they choose to, that's great. But again, that's finding the
Mhm.
market too. This is not an event for, this is not a low budget weekend event that you
It's
can
like
go to.
Monaco.
This is a big deal. So understand that this is going to be a big ticket item going forward. This is not
Right.
a, hey, you know what? Let's do a real economical trip to go to a race and go to Vegas at the same time. It's not. That's not really going
I
to be
mean
the approach.
I mean, a good weekend in Vegas isn't really that cheap.
No,
If you wanna risk getting bed bugs and
you can do anything
Lord
for
knows whatever else,
a small budget, but it's, again, you should expect the experience that you're paying for. So
don't bring a black light if you're paying $50 a night for a room.
yeah, I think that's a reasonable expectation. Do you have any food stories that you want to share? Because we haven't. Again, it's been ages. I don't know if you have
I've
any.
ordered in a lot.
Yeah, I know, and you do that when you're moving. I
Yeah.
can fully appreciate that. So, uh,
I have a few.
go lay them on me.
We went to I can't e I'm not even gonna attempt to pronounce it, the, So I'm down now in the Toronto waterfront area, as you can see by
Yes.
my background.
Yes.
We're not super far away from like Rogers Centre. Like I kind of want to call it the sporting area of Toronto. It's just a big row of sporting venues. So we're not far from Rogers Centre or Scotiabank Arena now. We made the mistake on my birthday. And we now have rectified this mistake by putting when we have hockey games and Raptors games on our calendar.
Ah,
So we know how
yes.
busy it's going to be outside when we leave.
Yes.
We made the mistake of going for my birthday out for dinner and not making a reservation on a Leafs game night.
Oh, that's bad.
So, but we still went to the Italian restaurant that's right next to the Delta, and it was very good. Great carbonara.
Oh, yeah.
But we got seated at the bar, which is to be expected when you don't make a reservation on game night.
Sure.
My other one was we went to this place, my boyfriend and I, to play board games last night, actually, by Dundas Young Square, called the Twilight Cafe, and it's a board game cafe.
Oh, wow.
But it's kind of I don't want to say K-pop theme, but it's like it's a lot of Korean cuisine. So it's bubble tea and ramen noodles and udon and things like that. And they have like what I got, an udon noodle meal that I kind of called spicy craft dinner and hot dogs on steroids. It was very good, but I could have made it at home pretty easily. But it was still good. Bubble tea was great. But yeah, it's a cute little area that you.
This is a board game cafe, so you could bring, if you had,
no, they have a menu. Yeah, so if you had a group of friends, they have a menu of board games. Yes. And they range in everything from like, they have like the super intense strategy games, right? Like Risk times 10.
Gotcha.
But then all the little ones down to like Uno. And they have like decks of cards there and stuff like that. So you could go for a date or go take a group of friends and stuff and play board games.
I didn't know if it was like
food.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was like golf, where if there's just two of you going, that they would pair you with another group or whatever, so you would have a foursome and stuff, or if you it's restricted to just your group.
No, it's I mean, I'm sure you could go. I mean, and there were people in there that weren't even playing games. They were just eating and like working and using it as kind of like an internet cafe sort of thing, which I thought was also a good idea. But yeah, you can just go in, you and your buddy, and play whatever game floats your boat. And there's other ones in Toronto. There's a chain called Snakes and Lattes that does that. A lot of times you can go up. Snakes and Lattes is a little bit more like top tier, where it's like they have people there that specifically know the games, know which ones are good for single players, or not single players, like 2 players, 5 players, so on and so forth, and can actually teach you how to play. This place was a little bit more like, come in with your group, order some food, pick a game. So, interesting. And then my other one was we tried Chef's Plate for the first time. Maybe in the future, because I really liked it, but it's almost on par with grocery prices right now, minus the shipping. Almost. But yeah, this is my pitch for them to be a sponsor.
Okay, there you go. Sure, absolutely. So my one food story comes from my road trip from driving from Southern Ontario to Florida, which I did last week. So I stopped
right now, and I hate them.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. So I stopped in Knoxville, Tennessee, to visit my wonderful friend Cindy, who is an avid viewer, listener of this podcast, by the way. And yeah, she's wonderful. I haven't seen her in many years. So we went out to a little place. They have a real cool little square in the middle of Knoxville, which was packed because the University of Tennessee, which is in Knoxville, was playing Georgia the next day. So 100,000 people or so come into town for the football game. So we went to Not Watson's Kitchen, is the name of the place. And she said to me, do you like fried green tomatoes? And I said, I've never had fried green tomatoes. She said, we're getting some. So we had fried green tomatoes, which are green tomatoes fried, had a little pimento cheese on top, and some crispy ham as well. Fantastic. Awesome. Good smash burger as well. And the bourbon and lemonade drink was also very welcome at that time. So that's my food story. But yeah, it was really nice wonderful to see her, and just to experience a new terrific downtown, just really walking friendly, like there was just teeming with people. Again, there for the football game and stuff, of course, but it was just a really cool vibe and a really cool feel downtown.
Yeah, that's the one thing when I went to Bristol with LP back in 2022, we flew into Knoxville, but we didn't get a chance to go and check it out, which was kind of a shame because it looked like a cool city.
Yeah, it was pretty neat. So it was nice to see her and catch up and to experience that. So we will again not go 6 weeks between podcast episodes. I think we can tighten that up just a little bit over the next little while.
Yeah.
We're getting into holiday season. It's Thanksgiving here and the next day or so. So it's just it'll be busy, but we'll definitely tighten up the frequency of episodes, because there's a lot of exciting things and good things to talk about.
Always. And even though it is off season, there is still a world of motorsports to explore. And
Yes.
there are lots of topics that we can talk about outside of motorsports, but also in general in the motorsports world.
Which we often do, because, as we like to say, racing is the conduit that brings us together to discuss all kinds of items. The thoughts, ideas, opinions, and suggestions of the Racin It Out podcast and Todd and Caitlin are those of Todd and Caitlin, and do not represent, or in any way, shape, or form should be taken as an opinion, idea, thought, or suggestion from anyone we may have previously, currently, or might work for in our lives. How's that? Pretty widespread.
You covered the next 60 years of my life.
Well, there you go.
From 0 to 100, but once we hit 101, you can sue us all you want.
Yeah. We'll just cut that little segment out. We'll just drop that into every episode going forward. It covers it all. All right. Very good.
All right. Well, this has been another edition of Racin It Out. You can follow us on all the podcast platforms and watch us on YouTube. And we'll see you guys next time.